And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at an expansion for Eldritch Horror called Forsaken Lore. There are a few things that we knew last year that were certain. Death, taxes, and the fact that Fantasy Flight was going to release an expansion for Eldritch Horror. Why would they not? We saw what they've done with Arkham Horror, with the 2000 expansions. Well, maybe like 7 or 8, but there's certainly a lot. Now, this expansion is not a very large expansion. It's small, but it increases and it introduces a new Elder God, Yig, the Snake God, bleh, and also a pile of more cards. Look. Stuff, and more stuff. That's what is in this expansion. You can see kind of spread out here. Now, the big bad of this expansion is Yig. And I have to confess, I've always thought that Yig was one of the less threatening of these guys, if you can say such a thing about him. I mean, he's a big dude and all, but, compared to Cthulhu, it's hard for him to hold his own. Well, this expansion certainly makes him hold his own. For one thing, starts the Doom track at 10. For another thing, he comes out and he has a host of other baddies that may or may not show up with him or from other things. I hate them all. He comes with a whole pile of clue cards, more clue cards than anyone in the original set got, but that's okay because everyone else has more clue cards added to them, which is absolutely fantastic because it adds more clue cards, just like there are more cards for when you go to the different cities and have encounters, and when you go on the expedition, and there are more Mythos cards, and there are even, and this one's really exciting to me, there are more cards added for the different things that you have to accomplish to beat the different folks. Now when you fight Cthulhu, you don't have like a better than even chance of fighting his daughter, wife, whatever that thing is. Now you might come into threatening seas or fight the Queen of the Deep Ones, the Hydra epic monster, who is, well, nasty in her own right. Okay, but I really like this. I really like that there's now a more variety of things that you will run into. Speaking of which, there's also a whole pile of new weapons included and artifacts. And, let's take a look at a few of them. Now, I don't want to spoil too much, so here's a lucky ring. This one's awesome. You get to reroll a die whenever you resolve a test. Or the Enchanted Blade, something everyone wants that gives you 3 extra strength and 1 extra mind during a combat. Or the Elder Sign. Hurrah! Okay, which lets you reroll a die, and you reduce the horror of monsters you encounter by 1. Or a Bodyguard. Some more allies were included in this. And Fresh Fruit, just because this makes me laugh. But when you do a rest, you can get rid of 2. You can cure 2 health and 2 sanity. Here's an artifact, the Sword of Yahatala, which is a really decent weapon. When you beat a monster with it, you get a clue. This is great. Give it to your guy who fights, and he can get clues and kill monsters at the same time. This was an interesting artifact. Here you can test your lore -1. If you pass, you spend a sanity, and you basically can kill a monster who's at a gate. Some really annoying monsters are easy to get rid of this. The problem is, there's a 1/6 chance every time that one of these cards is turned over with the burst icon that the doom will be increased by 1. Eventually you're going to want to get rid of this thing, but it's so powerful. But yet, I love stuff like that. Also some cool new spells, Shriveling, Poison Mist, Healing Words, and Wither. Also, there is one more of many of the different conditions. Back injury, amnesia, another dark pact, paranoia. There's even 2 more of the debt cards, which is good since everyone's always going into debt. And I like this because there's more opportunities for the different things that happen to you. It gives you more of a random, who knows what's going to happen. They added another condition, poisoned. And a brand new condition here, lost in time and space. Now, lost in time and space is really crazy because you get removed from the board. And then the next turn, all you get is an encounter, and you flip over the card. So here's one of them. I won't spoil the rest. This Guide from the Void. A silhouette man comes from behind you, and you can gain a dark pact condition to put him anywhere you want. If you don't do that, though, you have to put a gate there and advance the omen by 1. So that's, you're never sure what's going to happen to you in this game. And I love the fact that all these things are added and more things. And really, folks, there's not a whole lot more else I can say about the game other than that it just adds more stuff. Okay, I want to talk about two things here. First of all, this expansion in particular. This is a personal thing, but I love expansions that have just more stuff. They don't add a whole pile of new things. Yeah, this one added the Lost in Time and Space, but that's not like how do we play? I just did a game. Simple, it's just a new condition. The footprint of the game didn't really increase. They just added more cards to everything. They added more cards to all the piles. So many different cards. And I mean, I didn't show you almost any of them because I'd like it to be a surprise. In fact, I don't even read these myself because when I'm playing the game, I want to see what new is coming. And there's so many of them now. And adding extras of the different conditions is great. I love the idea that there's who knows what condition is going to happen. What's Lost in Time and Space going to do to you this time? Who am I in debt to this time? And that is one of my favorite mechanisms of any game ever. And I'm glad they added more cards for it and all this new stuff. And Yig adding another boss, and the fact that there is now 6 different cards for each of these bosses, and you only need to beat 3 of them, do 3 of these goals to win, mean every game is very different. This really vastly improved the replayability without adding too much extra. Some of the Arkham Horror expansions added a new board and all kinds of weird stuff. This just adds more cards. All the card piles get taller, and I like that a lot. Fantastic. This is a definite buy if you like the game. Woo, great. Now I want to talk about the Eldritch Horror as a whole. For me at this point in time, it is absolutely 100% completely obliterated Arkham Horror for me. I liked Arkham Horror a lot, but Eldritch Horror is just so much more fun for me. Arkham Horror had a bit of a random, go around, see what happens type aspect to it, and you go places and you shut down gates. This one has that whole, we need to do this, and we need to stop that monster, and we need to do this, and this thing showed up, and a giant spider is in Greenland, and we need to go stop him there, and there's a Yeti in the Himalayas ripping people's limbs off. We got to go take care of that, and there's all these cool things, and it has a very strong adventure flavor to it with horror, but because that adventure flavor is so high, there's a little bit less horror, which I know some of you are horror fans and that might be bothersome, but I like it because it's like the perfect balance. I don't sit around in this game and at night wake up, Eldritch Horror. But during it, there's just enough horror, but it's cool when you're going around. Now, I put a cap on Eldritch Horror now of 4 players. I want to play 3 or 4 players. It's a fantastic number, and the game is long, but the game tells a story. And every time we play it, it's so much exciting, and this expansion just solidifies that. I never know what's going to happen, but at the same time, we have focus. We need to go here and do this, and the stories are being told. It is rapidly moving into my favorite games. This is a tremendously fun game. I'm so glad I had a chance to play it, and this expansion is good. Get it!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door! 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 Shut the door!